What's up guys, my name's Alka, and in today's video, I'm going to be giving you the official attacker tier list for the new Operation Solar Raid. The first thing I want to say is this is based off of the new meta that's coming out, so if you see some weird picks, you gotta bear with me, they changed a lot with this new season. The first operator that I'm going to put that's a tiny bit controversial is going to be Capitão, and I'm going to put him in the A tier. So Capitão, I think, was probably just a B tier pick for all of the seasons up until this one. The fact that he has a Gone 6, he has 2 hard breaching charges, he has his Firebolt and his Smoke Bolts. They make having gunfights with your team a lot easier. He's not like top of A tier for sure, but you can play him on every single site. His gun is extremely easy to use, 1.5, low recoil, high damage, you can put a silencer on it. I think he's pretty good, and I think you'll see with the people who are in B, C, F, and S tier that he definitely does belong in this A tier. But if you want to look at somebody who definitely has earned S tier and belongs there, let's look at Buck. Buck is somebody that has gotten just buffed continuously, except for them taking away his frags seasons and seasons ago. But I mean, now there's only 4 operators that have frags right now, right? So having Buck in the S tier is definitely something that's deserved. He has vertical play, but he can also do it from below, which is something that Sledge can't do reliably in a lot of scenarios. And then also the Gone 6, right? So super reliable. Next, I'm going to talk about Finka. I think Finka is definitely a B tier pick. Finka is just not as good as she was. The whole reason Finka was good is because she brought so much utility to be able to just go out and do anything the team needed at all. But now she doesn't have frags. Her LMG got nerfed, and the only thing that they kept that actually makes her good is her Gone 6 and her ability. But they made it to where she doesn't have frags, and they gave her smoke grenades, so she's more of a flex operator than she is a fragger operator. So you can still play her, but the fact of the matter is there's always going to be better operators to play, and that's why she's in the B tier. This was where she was at the beginning of when she came out, and it's where she is now after they gave her LMG and they took it away. So unfortunately, B tier. And speaking of operators that are just kinda not very good right now, I think we can say that Fuze, C tier for sure. I feel like Fuze is one of those operators that is a bit slept on, right? Like in all of my past tier lists, I've probably put him in B tier or around C tier, but usually like high C tier. If you genuinely logically think about it, he has the best utility clear in the entire game. The best utility clear. Because he has 4 sets of 5 grenades. That's 20 fucking grenades. He has 20 grenades that can clear any utility at all. It's hard to actually get value out of because people can just shoot the fuse charges, right? Now that it can go through reinforced walls, it's pretty good. He also has an AK-12. He also has an LMG. But the fact of the matter is, the higher up in elo you go, the less useful he is because the easier people can just counter him, right? So I have to put him in C tier. I'm sorry. He's just not that good. He's awesome on paper, but in actual practice, he's kind of terrible. And then let's go over an F tier pick. I think we can all agree that Blackbeard is an F tier pick. This is something that has always been the case since he's come out, and I don't know why, but they just keep fucking nerfing him. He's not the worst operator in the game. There are 2 other ones that are worse, but he just doesn't provide utility. He now does have EMP grenades though, which I will give to his merit, but the actual ability that he brings is not good, and that's all that he does bring. His weapons are also pretty shit, but I mean, you know, it's Blackbeard. You're not really surprised to see him in F tier, right? But I mean, now that we're on the topic of dog shit operators, I'm just gonna do the rest of the F tier now that I'm on it. Grim and Sens. Grim being the worst operator in the entire game on attack, and then Sens being slightly more useful than Grim is. I genuinely think Grim is terrible. I would probably put Blackbeard below Grim and Sens if he didn't have EMP grenades, but EMP grenades are super valued right now, and you know, it's a gun skill meta, it's a gunfight meta, so being able to negate like 2 or 3 headshots is pretty cool. We shit on Blackbeard a lot on this channel and on every single channel you actually go to, but I can't tell you the amount of times that my life has been saved by playing Blackbeard, but he's still dog shit, right? Grim and Sens are no different, so those are my F tier picks for today. Let's talk about something more positive. Let's talk about an S tier operator, which is going to be Sledge. Now, this might be a surprise to some of you to see Sledge still in the S tier even after they made him a 1-speed. But think about it, right? The only thing changing with Sledge is the fact that they made him less fast. It's not like he was a 3-speed and they changed him to a 1-speed like with Malusi. He's just a little bit less fast. Now, I will say, it's not like he's running into sight. He's not running and getting fragged. It's not his job. His job is to just go above and hit the floor. That's his entire job. If he can get utility on the way, that's cool. But typically, when you have fraggers that are going in and roam clearing for you, like Lion, like Dokkaebi, like Jackal, like Zofia, like Iana, they're playing with you anyways. You're not going in there alone trying to get fragged, so you don't really need to be a 2 or 3 speed. Being a 1 speed actually suits Sledge's utility and playstyle more than being a 3 or 2 speed. A lot of people aren't going to agree with me there because they don't like playing 1 speed operators, which, you know, fucking sucks. I admit it, but it doesn't change how he's played at all. And due to that, he always was an S tier pick, and I stand by that. The fact that he can destroy any single piece of bulletproof utility at all, and he has an amazing gun with the 2x scope and the 1.5 times scope. He's still a powerhouse of an operator. And frag grenades are so valued right now because there's only 4 operators in the entire game that have frag grenades. That's Glaz, Iana, Sledge, and Nøkk. So extremely valued still. I know he's a 1 speed, but it don't fucking matter if we're being honest. It does not matter. Anyways, with that out of the way, let's just go over the hard breaches. Obviously, being able to have a wall open in sight is extremely powerful. To be able to have outside to inside influence is something that can completely change the tide of a round. So for that being, hard breachers are always going to be S tier. Always, right? So I'm going to put all of them in the S tier. Now, in terms of actual order of where the hard breachers go, I think I'll put Maverick at the top because he can't be countered. I'll put Hibana at the bottom. I'll put Thermite probably below Ace. So this does change every single season, but if we're talking about solo queue ranked, right, and this is a solo queue ranked tier list, Ace is always going to be more reliable than Thermite or Hibana because these two require a little bit more team coordination, and it's also easier to play more flexible with Ace because of the AK-12 that he has than it is to be able to play like somebody like Thermite or Hibana, whose entire kit is meant to be able to get walls open. And then Maverick, of course, being able to do whatever the fuck he wants to do because he has a blowtorch that can't be countered, but also a really, really good weapon. So all of those being S tier, that shouldn't really surprise anybody. Next, we have Thatcher, which is kind of the bread and butter to all of the hard breachers. You'd think that I'd put him in S tier, but I'm not going to put him in S tier. I'm going to put him in very high A tier. Now, a lot of people are thinking, well, EMP grenades are in the game, right? So Thatcher must be useless. Nobody's betting Thatcher anymore. So maybe we should put him in like B tier or maybe even C tier. That one-track line of thinking, while you think it may be smart, isn't all that smart, and I'll tell you why. Thatcher base value is still amazing and still better than all EMP grenades because it covers the entire wall instead of just getting an impact on a small portion of the wall. It also can disable a lot more than just shit on a wall. He also brings very, very good weapons. And if you look at any Pro League player, any Challenger League player, any composition of teams, if Thatcher's on the board, they're still going to pick Thatcher over EMP grenades. But instead, now they're just going to have Thatcher and EMP grenades, right? So they're still going to bring a Lion, they're still going to bring a Dokkaebi, but being able to have a lot of EMP devices is great because you can get walls open with Thatcher and you can disable stuff like Malusi EMPs, BPs, Mozzie Pets, Mute Jammers with the leftover EMP grenades on people like Osa, Lion, and Dokkaebi. So he's still really, really good and people are still banning him, but he's definitely not as useful as he was when EMP grenades weren't in the game, so he's still A tier. Next is going to be Nøkk, or Nøkk, however you say it. I like saying Nøkk because I feel like I'm an entitled douchebag when I say Nøkk. Nøkk, fuck you. I'm putting Nøkk in A tier. So Nøkk is really good. A lot of people are going to disagree with me, but it's the same thing with Alibi and Frost. Alibi and Frost were all S tier, right? Or I guess S and A tier. Their abilities aren't good, right? Nøkk, Alibi, Frost, abilities, kind of dog shit. Same thing with Capitão. His abilities are kind of mid, but they're still A tier. And the reason that they're in A tier isn't because of their utility, it's because of what they bring other than the utility, right? Low recoil SMG with a 1.5. You have frag grenades, which are extremely valued because only 4 people have them. You have the ability to deny information. Now, if you saw my defender tier list, which I'll put in the top right here, or if you've been listening to me throughout this tier list, you know that we're in a gun skill meta, and the only way to be able to have favorous gunfights compared to the person you're fighting is to have information on that person, and the ability to deny that information is something that Nøkk does very well. Also, they made crouch walking 20% louder, and Nøkk also negates that nerf. So being able to make outplays with her, but also making late round pushes with her, playing her smartly and not just running in with her, can actually bring you a lot of value with Nøkk, especially if you're in ranked, right? Because ranked, people don't look for Nøkk players to like go in behind the entire enemy team minutes into the round, and if they do, they're probably looking at it from the end of a kill cam, right? So definitely an A tier pick for me. Now, the same reason I'm putting Nøkk in A tier, I'm going to put Ying in A tier, but for a little bit of a different reason. I'm actually going to put Ying above Capitão and below Thatcher. So Ying is very, very slept on, especially in the rank scene. And every time that you see a teammate pick Ying or you pick Ying, you end up winning the round, and there's a reason. Like, Ying is really, really good. People aren't playing people like Maestro or Warden as much because we're not in the plant meta right now. So bringing Ying is an extremely strong pick, and if you bring a Ying and you win and you do damage as Ying, it forces the defenders to actually pick Warden, which completely takes away an entire operator that they could be using to bring more and better utility to the table than if you weren't able to play Ying. And with attacker repick, you know when to pick her and when not to pick her. Also, people aren't bringing frag grenades as much anymore because there's only 4 sets of them, like I was just talking about with Nøkk. So people naturally, because there's less grenades, because people aren't using smoke grenades to plant because we're not in the plant meta, are not going to be bringing Jaeger and Wamai as much, which makes Ying inherently better. She also has a gun with little recoil, a drum mag almost every single sight in the entire game, and she has 4 candelas that have like 7 flash grenades each that you can cook for certain amounts of time that can go through walls and surfaces. And she has smoke grenades, right? She has so much. She's super easy to play with because of her weapon that's extremely easy to control. And the ability to deny information. Like I said, information is key in a gunfight meta. You can deny the information of sight with flashes and with smokes. Very, very good. Very versatile. I think you should start playing Ying if you want to rank up and you feel like you're in a rut. She's very good right now. Next, I'm going to talk about Lion. Lion, S tier for sure. I'm going to put Lion probably above Buck and Sledge, like at the top of S tier right now. The reason for this being is Lion brings so much to the table. He brings so much. It's not even funny how much Lion brings. And he's just so easy. He's just so easy. If you bring a Lion and you literally just scan at random points, even if you don't know when to scan, you don't know how to create space with his scans, you're going to bring, even in the slightest bit, some inherent value with Lion. And his gun, 1.5 or a 2x, little recoil, 50 round LMG like we were talking about with Ying. It's essentially just Ying, but better. And he brings EMP grenades, and he brings a Gon 6. Fucking insane, right? Like, they need to nerf Lion a little bit. Ying and Lion do the same thing where they create space and they create pushes and they create gunfights with their utility. But Lion just does what Ying does just a little bit better, and he's more useful in more situations and easier to play with a higher skill ceiling. So definitely an S tier pick for me. And the same reason that Lion is an S tier, I'm going to put Dokkaebi in S tier, and I'm going to put Dokkaebi above Lion as the best ranked operator that you could be playing for solo queue. Now, here's the reason I'm putting Dokkaebi above Lion. Everything that I just said about Lion is true for Dokkaebi, right? Gon 6, EMP grenades, great and easy to use weapons. Unless you're on console, I guess the DMR is probably not that easy to use. But, you know, everything that I just said about Lion and more, right? So you can bring phone calls for taking space, roam clearing, just like you can do with Lion scans. But also, if you kill somebody or your teammate kills somebody and you're able to hack their phone, you get all of the information that all of the defenders have for free. And like I said, in a meta that's gun skill heavy, where information is the only thing that makes you win gunfights, the ability to not only deny defender information, but gain all of their information is fucking insane. It's fucking insane. So definitely an S tier pick for me. I don't even think there needs to be a debate about how Dokkaebi's doing right now. She's doing so well. Next, let's talk about Zofia. Zofia, if we're talking about solo queue ranked and who is good in solo queue ranked, I have to put her at the very top of A tier. Honestly, she could be an S tier too. There's a reason to be said for both of that. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to put her in S tier. So I'll put her low S tier. She, again, is just a utility powerhouse, right? If you look at my defender tier list, if you look at this tier list, the people that are in S tier just bring a lot of utility, and because of that, they're able to be played by any single type of player on any map, on any objective. Zofia is no different. She has great weapons, some of the best weapons in the game. Her LMG is amazing. She has an AR that got buffed to where the recoil isn't a problem anymore, with tons of scopes on it, the 1.5 and the 2x with little recoil, like I just said. And then, not to mention, she has 2 stuns and 2 impacts for burning utility, killing players, and it makes gunfights a lot easier. Like I said, we're in a gunfight meta, right? So if you can make gunfights easier with information or by stunning people, it's amazing. And the impacts, or I'm sorry, the stuns themselves give information, because if you stun in a room and it immediately goes off, you know someone's in the room, right? So again, information and making gunfights easier. So definitely S tier for me for sure. I mean, it's kind of an attacker-sided game right now, right? Because of attacker repick and because of how many operators are in the S tier. Like, they kind of have to do something. It's getting a bit ridiculous. With that being said, though, there is a lot of S tier operators, but there are a lot of shit operators too. and I'm going to go over some of those. So first of all, Ashe. Ashe I want to put in the C tier. Probably the top of C tier. There can be an argument made for the bottom of B tier as well. Actually, I'll put him in the bottom of B tier. Very, very bottom of B tier. She's just not as good as she was, right? If you want to bring what Ashe brings, you can bring everything that she brings and more with Zofia, right? You want the ranged reaching charges, Zofia brings those too. You want a really good gun that you can run in and frag with, Zofia brings those too. You want a 3-speed with a lot of utility and a good gun, you have IQ, you have Capitão, you have Maverick, right? So like there's actually zero reason to bring her, but if you do bring her, you're still bringing some good utility. So you know, she's not going to be C or F tier, but there's just no reason to bring her. She's just kind of outshined by everybody right now. I think if they gave her flash grenades and they gave her 3 reaching charges instead of just 2, she would definitely probably be A or maybe even S tier, but just for now she's B. Next we have Nomad. Now I'm going to put Nomad in the bottom of S tier. I'm sorry, there's so many S tier picks, but you have to understand how the meta works right now. That being said, right, Nomad, the best flank denial in the entire game. Good for flushing out defenders if you shoot an air jab behind them. She has flash grenades. She has amazing weapons. She has information with her ability to be able to deny anybody that's on the flank. If they shoot your air jabs, it's still information because you can hear them shooting them. But even then, I mean, I guess in the higher elo, if you're solo queuing, you could just have drones on flank. You could have claymores on flank. So I think I'm actually going to put her in high A tier. But she's still really, really good. She always will be good because of the concept of her gadget. That being said, her counterpart, Gridlock, is not so good, contrary to what most people think. So Gridlock, she's a really, really good operator. She's an amazing operator, but the meta does not support her, unfortunately. If we were in a plant meta, if we were in a utility meta, I honestly believe she would be above Nomad, maybe even S tier. But there are some fatal flaws about her gadget that I'm going to explain. So first of all, I'm going to compliment her, right? She has probably like on par, if not even better than Lion and Dokkaebi with the amount of utility that she can bring. EMP grenades, a secondary shotgun, breach charging, like that's just her secondary shit, right? Smoke grenades, like it's actually insane. And then she has her 4 tracks, which are good for flanks, but mainly they're good for being able to throw onto the objective to stop defenders from being able to rotate to you to deny your plant, and making it a lot harder for them to be able to defuse the bomb. And if you have smoke grenades, even better for plant, right? But it's just not a plant meta right now, so I want to put her in B tier. She brings so much utility though that I'll at least do her the justice of putting her in the top of B tier. But even then, like solo queue ranked, you're not going to get much use out of Gridlock. Like she's just not going to be that good. So there could even be an argument for C tier. It just honestly depends on your opinion of what you value in ranked. So you do value utility? Do you value winning rounds? Do you value getting frags because we're in a frag meta? I mean, Gridlock could help all of those, but there's just better operators to pick like Nomad. So I think I'm going to stick her below Finka, but above Ashe in the B tier. Next, I'm going to talk about Twitch. Twitch is good. The only thing that she's lacking is that she doesn't have anything that's able to destroy bulletproof utility. If she had frag grenades or a Gone 6, I think she'd probably be like high A tier, but the fact that she doesn't have anything to destroy bulletproof utility kind of sucks. Also, she's countered by people like Mute and Mozzie, who are both S and A tier picks, so I want to put her in the top of B tier. She's very good on maps like Chalet, Bank, Theme Park, where there's a lot of open space and a lot of cameras that you can deny easily and hide her drones in. She also has an F2 with a 1.5, which is very good for getting kills, which is very good in a kill-based meta. But there are just better operators, honestly. Like, she's not bad. Same thing with Gridlock, same thing with Finka. Like, they're not bad. They're just better people, unfortunately, and that's why they're in the B tier. And then we have Jackal. I mean, I can't have Dokkaebi and Lion in the S tier if I don't also have Jackal in the S tier. Sure, he gets banned a lot. He doesn't have as much utility as these two have, which is why I'm putting him below them, but he has the most efficient roam clearing mechanic in the entire game, and he has some of the best weapons to help him roam clear by himself to do so. And if we're talking about solo queue ranked, because he has such good weapons, he has a secondary shotgun to be able to make rotates for himself, and he can roam clear extremely efficiently, he doesn't need his team. Unlike people with Dokkaebi and Lion, who you kind of need your team to be able to get the most out of your utility, Jackal doesn't really need that. But still, S tier pick for sure. It just sucks he gets banned as much as he does, which is one of the reasons that he's not, you know, the top of S tier. Next, I'm going to talk about Glaz. Now, I know I just put Twitch in the B tier, so y'all might not like me for doing this, but I'm going to put Glaz in low A tier. A lot of people are going to fucking disagree with me. I don't care. I don't care. Like I said with Nøkk, ability, pretty dog shit, right? We can all agree Nøkk's ability is not that great. Neither is Glaz's, but you have to keep into account their secondary utility, right? Glaz, 3-speed. He has a secondary that is automatic, right, bearing 9. He also has frag grenades. There's only 4 operators in the entire game that have frag grenades, and that's Nøkk, Sledge, Iana, and Glaz. So Glaz already is super, super valued. Now, he is better in a plant meta, I will admit that, but the fact that he's a 3-speed with a bearing 9, you don't need to use a sniper to get kills. Honestly, you don't. And like, he's easy to get kills with if you know how to control the sniper, if you know how to use the bearing 9, if you know how to use the frag grenades. So there's nothing really holding him back from being a better operator, except for the fact that he has a sniper and doesn't bring much utility other than his frag grenades. So he's still A tier. I don't care what the fuck you say. He's A tier, but he's low A tier for sure. The next operator I'm going to talk about is Monty. Now, Monty is in a bit of a weird place for me. I think the better Monty player you are, the higher up he would go in a tier list, all the way probably up to like A tier. But most people aren't, and in a solo queue environment where your team can't really play off of you, the highest I'm even willing to play him is low B tier. He's great in the sense that the better Monty player you are, again, the better you're going to be. But even then, not having a gun is extremely difficult for your team. He does have EMP grenades now, though, which is pretty good. But if you want to do what Monty does, you can do it better with Osa. And I think he's just not really that good. He's like Fuze, where in concept, he's really, really good, right? But in practice, he's just not the best, especially in a solo queue environment. So I want to put him like very top of C tier, maybe low B tier. Depends on how you want to structure your own list, I guess. But high C tier is where I'm going to put him for now. Let's talk about some more pretty bad operators. Amaru, C tier. The only thing stopping me from putting Amaru in F is the fact that you can actually have some coordinated pushes with her and some strategies with her. But even then, those strategies do require you to plant the bomb down and or just pinch enemy defenders, and it's just not the meta for that, like I've already stated. So not very good. SMG-11 with flash grenades and a drum mag on a gun with a 1.5 that's easy to control, that has a high damage, is really, really good though, and that's really the only thing stopping me from putting her in F. But her utility doesn't do dog shit, so I'm putting her in C. The next operator I'm going to talk about is Blitz. Blitz I'm going to put in the B tier, below Ash. Now, I'll put her above Ash. Her. It's a him. You just saw me put Monty in C tier, but I'm putting Blitz in B tier. I'm gonna tell you one thing right now. I am in Diamond PC lobbies, right? This is before the ranked rework change where rank actually meant something and had skill to it. I'm in Diamond PC lobbies, and people still don't know how to fucking counter a Blitz in Diamond PC lobbies. It's still really difficult. If you know how to counter him, you're communicating with your team, you're able to like actually not give away space and use utility to be able to counter him, he's not good. But most people don't do that, especially in a solo queue environment. Blitz is extremely easy to be able to deal with people who are playing way too aggressively on the defense. And he's really the only person that you can play other than like Blackbeard and Monty if you're playing against cheaters, which automatically makes him pretty good because half of every game that you play in Diamond and above has a cheater in it, or a Zim player for you people on console. But other than that, he's just not good. He's alright. He's alright. I probably below Ash, honestly, below Ash for sure. Next, I'm going to talk about IQ. IQ is in the same boat as I want to say like Finka and Ash. She has utility that is useful. You're never gonna use it. Like it's cool. It's a cool idea, but just not very good in practice. Like, okay, think about this, right? Valkyrie's banned, you never play her. You only play her if people are playing Valkyrie, and even then people are really only playing Valkyrie in a nuisance kind of way on maps like Theme Park, Bank, and Chalet where you can really hide Valkyrie cameras. If not, you just play Dokkaebi and you're able to hack the cameras anyways and do a better job than IQ does. Even then, you can use drones and do IQ's job, so not really that good. Weapons are pretty good. Having breach charges is pretty good, but that's pretty much it. If you want to counter a Valk on certain maps though, you need to learn when to pull out an IQ, but literally that is it. That's literally just it. A bit of a rework similar to the new defense op. I agree. I think she needs to bring more utility. I think if they made her bring EMP grenades or they gave her some better type of secondary gadget, I think she'd be more useful. But for now, just nah. Next, let's talk about Iana. I'll put Iana in the S tier. So, like I said, what makes a good operator in the game of Rainbow Six Siege is the ability to have information and destructibility, right? She brings both of those. She has infinite droning, and then because she has infinite droning, you can kind of get away with wasting your prep phase drone by putting it on like flank watch and cutoff cams, which is even, more information, right? And then she still has 2 frag grenades, which is extremely powerful, especially because, like I said, there's only 4 operators in the game that have frag grenades now. She's very highly valued. Also, 2 of some of the best guns in the entire game. I mean, you can't ever go wrong with her. She's super easy to play, always going to be useful. Same thing with Zofia and everybody else in the S tier. And that's why she's there. Now I'm going to talk about Zero. Zero is probably the hardest operator to place on a tier list in this game. because he's one of those operators, again, like Fuze, where he's so good, like on paper, but then when you actually go to use him, you just can't ever seem to get it right, and it just seems like they're not that useful. Especially in solo queue ranks, people are not watching your cams. You probably forget that you have a fucking taser on his camera to deny utility anyways, right? He's cool for flank watch, but again, you can do that with Nomad, you can do it with Gridlock, you can do it with just drones in general. There are better people to use Zero with that deny utility, people like Thatcher, people with EMP grenades, so he's just not that useful. For that reason, I can't put him anything higher than B tier. I can't. I will say he is slept on as an operator. Like, he is actually a pretty good operator. But if you want to do what he does, you can only do it on like bank and chalet and theme park and be semi-useful with him. So I'll put him like high B tier. Him and Twitch are literally just the same operator, just a different logo. And for that reason, I'm going to put him a little bit below Twitch because his weapons are a little bit worse. Let's see. Flores, I'm going to put in the A tier, like low A tier, below Glaz. The only thing that's stopping me from putting him higher is the fact that he can get countered by Mute and Mozzie so easily. Also, people can just shoot his drones unless you explode them. But the fact that frag grenades are so rare makes him a really good commodity to have. And you can deny a lot of utility with him. He's always going to be useful. His gun selection's great. He has frag grenades for burn as well. So Flores is actually a pretty good operator. He always has been. I don't really think that that's even a question. He is a bit slept on. But if you compare him to people like Nomad, Thatcher, Nøkk, Flores, he's not as good as them. You can't say he's as good as them. I used to be a Zero meat rider too. I understand where you're coming from. And then we have Callie. Callie, again, great on paper, kind of sucks in practice. Not as useless as like a Monty or a Fuze, because now she has 4 of those charges and her fire rate is faster. She's a great clash counter. But compared to people above her, she's not really all that good. I want to put her probably above Blitz, below Ash. I think she's still pretty useful. That's really all I can say. She's just kind of meh. The utility she brings, meh. The gun she brings, meh. Her playstyle, meh. That's it. I can't really like say anything more. And then Osa. Okay, EMP grenades, right? That automatically probably puts you in at least B tier, right? Because EMP grenades are extremely powerful. She has really, really good weapons. If you think Sledge's gun is a good gun, Thermite's gun is the exact same thing, just with higher damage. Exact same thing. And Osa also gets that gun with good sights. And then also, she has 2 shields that you can see out of that you can make gunfights with. It's like having a deployable shield in attack, but you can move it around, and you have 2 of them. So pretty decent. You see a lot of Osa players and a lot of Osa bans recently because of the EMP grenades, and for that reason I kind of just want to put her in A tier. I'll put her above Glaz, above Capitão, but below Ying for solo queue in general. She's very good, very versatile. Again, versatility, information, and the ability to have easier gunfights is what's making this meta so powerful, because we're in a gunfight meta, and that's why she's in A tier. But that's pretty much it for all the attackers. Just to recap, do I want to change anything around now that I'm looking at this again? Not really. That's it for the live video. I appreciate y'all sticking around. For those of you who did, y'all are real ones. You got early access to shit like this. If you want early access to more content, keep joining my lives and send it to your friends. But that's it. My name's Alka. I will see y'all in the next live stream. I appreciate y'all sticking around.